They say only the professor can answer every question in this quiz. Now it's time to check how well you know the series. Let's start with an easy question. The original Spanish title of Money Heist is La Casa De Papel. But do you know what the direct translation is? If you said The House of Paper, then bingo. The original title kind of has that tragic vibe, hinting that the heist plan is way too fragile. Moving on to a harder question. Every heist member has a city name, but what about the professor? According to Álvaro Morte, he has an unofficial city name. Is it A. London, B. Monaco, C. Vatican City, or D. Antananarivo? And the answer is C. Vatican City. Morte says it's because it's small, it's always shielded, and at the same time, it holds great power all over the world, just like the professor does. Moving on to the next question, a gross one. The professor once pretended to be homeless to avoid the police.
¿Qué hace usted aquí?
Yo no estaba robando.
What did he use to make himself smell so horrible? Was it A. Alcohol, B. Rotten meat, or C. Ammonia?
¿Qué cojones huele aquí?
Amoníaco.
Yuck! Can you imagine how desperate the professor was? He wasn't the only one who had to deal with a bad smell, though. Marseille's pet ferret had a challenge, too. Remember the gang sent her inside a pipeline to trick Alicia and Tamayo? The question is, what was the name of Marseille's ferret? If you said Sofia, then congrats! By the way, Sofia is also a city. Moving on to audio questions. Most fans can guess Denver just by his laugh. Can you guess another character just by hearing their giggle? Are you listening? Whose laugh is this? Yes, that's Berlin. His laugh is pretty recognizable too. But can you guys guess which two female characters are giggling here? That was Tokyo and Nairobi laughing because their tequila party was unexpectedly interrupted by the professor. That was a hard one. Give yourself an extra point if you nailed it. Next question. All of us are huge fans of the Bella Ciao song, but can you remember which character was the first one to sing it in the series? Many fans mistakenly think it was Berlin and the professor. However, it was actually Moscow. One more question about Bella Ciao. You might know that it's an old protest folk song, but do you know what country it originates from? Is it A. Spain, B. Portugal, C. Mexico, or D. Italy? And the correct answer is D. Italy. Bella Ciao was written in the 19th century by the Italian Mondina workers in protest of the tough working conditions. 100 years later, it became an anti-fascist anthem. Nowadays, Netflix and Money Heist have made it one of the most famous songs in the world. Next question. Who said this epic line? If there's a single victim, we'll stop being Robin Hoods and we'll just become some sons of bitches. Was it A. Tokyo, B. Berlin, or C. The professor?
Como haya una sola víctima, dejaremos de ser unos Robin Hoods para convertirnos simplemente en unos hijos de puta.
Yep, this man was always about justice, even when he hired a bunch of criminals to rob a bank. Moving on to the next question. How many heists had Berlin pulled off before the events of Money Heist? A. 13, B. 27, C. 31, or D. None? If you said B. 27, then congrats. Berlin was definitely involved in many other shady businesses. He even stole 434 diamonds from the Champs-Élysées in Paris. Next question. There were many tragic death scenes in the show, but do you remember who died first? It was Helsinki's brother, Oslo. He was paralyzed after a hostage struck him across the head with a rod, and Helsinki had no choice but to kill him as an act of mercy. Next question. Nairobi's death scene was one of the most shocking ones. Before killing her, Gandia gave her a chance to say any last words to her friends. Do you remember what Nairobi said? A. I love you all. B. I'm sorry. C. Let the matriarchy begin. D. She said nothing. Unfortunately, Nairobi said nothing. Perhaps she was recalling the happiest moments of her life, like the one with her future baby. Do you remember what Nairobi wanted to name her future child? Yep, sounds like a perfect name for Nairobi's kid, no matter what their sex may be. Talking about kids, we can't get past Bogota. How many children does this man have? He has 7 children all around the world, from Mexico to Ukraine. Maybe that's how he knows so much about relationships.
Well, forget it. Just keep your fucking mouth shut.
And I don't defend myself?
No, because you don't even know what she's angry about.
Now let's talk about money. True or false? The gang printed 984 million euros at the Royal Mint. Yep, that's absolutely true. Though they planned to print 2.4 billion euros, while it sounds awesome for the gang, did they ever think of inflation? One more money question. True or false? There were 140 tons of gold in the Bank of Spain. Nope, that's false. The correct answer is 90 tons.
Alpiste del bueno gobernador.
The man who planned the Bank of Spain heist was either a madman or a genius. By the way, do you remember who was responsible for this robbery plan? Was it A, the professor, B, Marseille, C, Berlin, or D, Moscow?
Good morning, miss. I have an appointment with Mr. Mario Urbaneja, governor of the Bank of Spain.
Of course it was Berlin. And what about the first heist? Whose idea was it to rob the Royal Mint? Was it A, Berlin, B, Tokyo, C, the professor, or D, the professor's father?
My father.
Correct. The professor's father once shared a crazy idea that captured his son's imagination, and that's how the heist story started. How many answers did you get right without having to sneakily check on the internet? Let us know in the comments, and if you like quizzes, there are more for you. Thanks for watching and stay awesome.